Welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. This week the lines have blurred a little bit between my creative life and my farm life because a lot of the things that I've done for the farm have been for the shed and they've been a little bit more on the creative side. Getting things ready for the shed, I have pulled bits of furniture from around the farm that have been stored in other sheds and under carport. Some of this belonged to my grandparents. Really special that I'm able to now have their old ice chest, a cabinet that was in their kitchen, and also a wardrobe. I've also gathered some more modern pieces of furniture, a chest of drawers and a table and chairs. What I want to do is use them within my shed space. And my aim is that I would like to bring them all together so that the old and the new kind of all meld across. And I'm not a furniture restorer and I've never really painted that much before. So I was not really sure what I was going to do to be able to do that. But I saw that Unwind Craft Cafe were offering a painting workshop for a type of paint called Jolie, which is supposed to be able to be painted on almost any surface and doesn't need a lot of pre-sanding or anything like that. You don't need to strip the paint that's already on. You can just go ahead and paint over the top. The course was on a Saturday morning, went for about 4 hours. And it went through a whole lot of different techniques. We got little slabs of wood that had different instructions on the back for the different types of techniques. And then we went through and applied those techniques to the other side of it. And so we could compare the different techniques across the different pieces of wood. And it went really well. I'm really happy that I went because I do think that it will be suitable for what I want to do. And I was able to choose some colours that are really going to, I hope, blend really nicely with being in the shed environment without being a stark white, not overdo the antique-y look too much and try and bring some of that sort of orangey, over-lacquered furniture to soften it up a little bit. So I've ordered some paint and I pick that up next week and then I'll actually start on the painting. What I've started already is more on the cleaning because, as I said, these pieces have been sitting in dirty sheds and in a carport, and in getting them ready to paint. I've decided to start with the chest of drawers because it doesn't have any real sentimental value, and so if I screw something up it doesn't matter quite so much. I've taken off the handles, I've cleaned out everything, and now I'm working on taking off the bases of all of the drawers because they've got a bit wet. It's that MDF stuff that doesn't really last that long. So I'm going to replace all of that, but I won't put those back in until I've finished with the painting. I've sanded the top. I don't think the rest is going to need too much sanding. I'm just going to apply the paint and then maybe sand it back a little bit around the edges to give it a little bit of a distressed look. And then I'm thinking that I might buy some porcelain handles for the drawers instead of the wooden handles that it came with. Or I'll use a contrasting colour to paint the handles so that they look a little bit different from the chest of drawer itself. The other furniture thing that I worked on was that I was inspired to make my own desk. I looked around, I wanted a new desk for my workspace in the shed. I have been using the same white laminated, quite small desk since I was in high school, and it's seen better days, and as I said, it's quite small and really doesn't fit with my style anymore. So I was looking at things off the shelf, looking at all different websites, trying to decide what I was going to buy, and then I remembered that I have this trestle tabletop in a dark wood that I'd never used before. It was actually still in the box, and I had seen on Pinterest about people making their own craft tables with the cube storage units. So I had a bit of a search on the internet, and what I ended up going with was the flexi storage cube units from Bunnings, because they seemed to be the right height, and they also seemed to be fairly thick and sturdy. So I got 2 of the 2x2 cubes and 1 of the 1x1 cube. And that seemed to fit the width of the trestle tabletop that I already had. And by combining them, putting them side by side and having the other one at the back, it was enough of an area to provide support all the way across for the desk. So I put together the cubes. Thought it was quite handy doing that all by myself with an Allen key and a screwdriver. And they are quite sturdy. I'm really quite pleased. They came together really well in a square. And then I've put the top on. I haven't secured that in place yet. I'm going to wait a little while and see if maybe I'll change the configuration a little bit. I think I'm happy with it, but it also depends on where I end up putting the desk. I might change which side I put my little return on, or switch it around a little bit. But for the time being, I really like how I've set it up. I also bought a divider and a little set of drawers that go into some of the cubes, and they have other things. You can buy little baskets and storage bins and things as well. So once I've kind of settled in and I have it all set up, I may buy a couple of extra bits and pieces to go into some of the cubes, so that I have the best of both worlds in terms of open storage and some closed bins and things like that to put other loose items in. I've already shared with you that I'm designing a scarf pattern, and I was up to test knitting. I tested it, I knit it all the way through, and I've actually ripped it out for a couple of reasons, and I'm not sad about it, and I've restarted a slightly different one. The reasons that I ended up ripping it out were because it came out a little bit too wide than I thought it would, and I couldn't really tell that until I'd taken it off the needles properly. It also was a little bit dense, the fabric. I'd used size 4mm needles, and it just didn't have the drape that I'd wanted. And because I'd done a bit of extra width, I didn't get the length from one skein of yarn that I would have liked either. So back to the drawing board. And I think this version that I've now created, I think is hopefully going to be the one. I've flipped some of the design, and I've taken out one of the triangle sections that I had and put in a different ridge through the middle. So this is it now, starting on my second test knit, and it feels much drapier. I've now got this line through the center with alternating patterns on either side, and then mirroring the ridge on either side of the scarf. So hopefully this does get the length that I want. It's definitely got much more drape than the last one had, and I will knit it all the way through, and then it should be a finished pattern. One thing I do want to add is that I'm really impressed with my Harvest DK yarn, and I've obviously used it many times before, and I have it in garments and things like that, but I'm really pleased with how well it's standing up to being ripped out and re-knit. I've ripped out and re-knit, especially this starting bit, quite a few times. I've changed the number of stitches that I was casting on, and I'd done some swatches early on before I decided on my exact pattern repeat, and it still looks really good. So it's good to really test out my yarn in a hard way like that to prove that it is good for knitting and is going to wear really, really well. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.